Yeah. Shit, I have to add to the stage even though we don't have the video up. All right, cool. We'll cut all that shit out when we repost it. All right, give me a second. Let me get this. All right, cool. So we should probably start from the top on that one right here. Sweet.
All right.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing, Alex. Yeah.
Antoine, can you hear okay now?
Yeah, I think he said sounds good. 5x5 now.
5 by 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what the kids are saying these days.
No, that's what the old school ham radio enthusiasts are saying.
Oh, okay. I was trying to throw him a bone there. All right, cool. So yeah, we're live here at ATL Bit Lab. We've got part 2 of the Nix workshop. Jordan's here showing us Nix OS. I'll let you take it away again, man.
All right. Hopefully the sound works now. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Bravo, and this is Nix Workshop Part 2, and we are focusing on Nix OS today. Last time we focused on Nix, the package manager and build tool, and today we're going to focus on Nix OS, the Linux distribution. So what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn what is Nix OS, how is Nix OS different from using the Nix package manager on, say, Mac OS or other Linux distros, and we're going to learn how to install and configure Nix OS, and then we can go over anybody's configurations and troubleshoot or just help out. So what is Nix OS? Nix OS is, if you start with the Nix package manager build tool and you build an entire Linux distro from the ground up using it. And this has the trade-off of it's a little bit different than you're used to, and you don't have the escape hatch of installing things how you normally would with, say, on Mac OS, you might use Homebrew, or on Linux, you might use DNF or apt package managers. But on Nix OS, everything is managed with Nix. The advantage this provides, it provides an incredibly powerful declarative platform. Everything is configured with Nix, and if it builds, it works. So you cannot break your system. And if you do make some settings change and you reboot and find that it's unbootable, your boot screen will have a list of all your previous generations that you've created. So every time you change your configuration, it basically adds a new item to the list when you boot up. And so if you boot and do a bad configuration, you say, you know what, I want to go back to the previous configuration, or I want to go back 3. You just select it and your system works perfectly fine. This also provides really cool features where on other Linux distributions where you might, for the desktop environment, which is the whole GUI, the graphical user interface that you interact with, that is all tightly integrated into the system. So when you go to install, let's say you're installing Ubuntu, it comes with the GNOME desktop environment. And if you want, say, the KDE Plasma desktop environment, that's the one that looks a little more like Windows. You need to make that decision before you even install it. You need to choose the right ISO that comes with it, and then you install it with that. And you can't really change it later. You could try, you can get under the hood and jimmy things around, but you're probably going to break things, and it's never going to be the same as it was out of the box. With Nix OS, it's literally changing a single line in your configuration file, and then you hit rebuild, and you have an entirely new system with that entire desktop environment. We'll go over this. We'll do some screen sharing, and we'll make sure everybody is set up the way they want to be. But let's go ahead a little bit further and get into installing Nix OS. Now, depending on your system, there's going to be a couple different ways that you could do this. But everybody should go to nixos.org and download the ISO. So we're at the homepage on nixos.org, and we're going to click download, and then we're going to scroll down past the Nix package manager, and we're going to get to Nix OS, the Linux distribution. And right here, we're going to say what you're going to choose here is depending on your architecture. So if you have, for example, a MacBook with an Apple Silicon M1 or M2 or any of those kind of chips, you're going to choose ARM right here. And if you have an Intel or AMD chip, then you will choose this first one.
Is there any implication on overriding your existing system by installing this? Like if I'm on a Mac OS, should I be scared about losing anything?
The question was, is there any danger of overriding your existing system by installing this? what we're going to do when we install it on Mac OS is we're going to use a virtual machine. So no, what you're going to do is we're going to download the ISO. And then if you are on Mac OS, you're going to use a virtual machine program such as UTM or QEMU. We'll go over those more. And then you open up those programs and you say, open up that Linux ISO that I downloaded.
Gotcha. Thanks.
If you are on hardware and you want to actually install this on your laptop or desktop, what you can do is you download that ISO that we just talked about, and then you're going to use a program called Etcher. You're going to download Etcher, and then it's a very simple process. You select the image, you browse to where you downloaded that file, and you click Flash, and it will flash that to the USB drive. Then you simply reboot and boot into that USB drive, and you'll be prompted with the NixOS graphical installer. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like very similar to the process of like dual booting. Just like getting any weird operating system on your laptop.
Yep. With macOS, dual booting is it's a little trickier, or I don't know if it's necessarily trickier, but for the purposes of this demo, I don't know off the top of my head all the ins and outs of that. So I would say if you're not comfortable with repartitioning your hard drive, just boot into a virtual machine, and there's no danger of messing up your existing installation.
Okay. Your UTM is just going to open it up in like a window. It's just going to like run like an application on your computer.
Sweet. Yeah, but like using like Etcher, I remember from.
Yeah, so this is creating a boot disk, and then you're going to need to go into your BIOS settings or your UEFI settings, and you're going to need to tell it to boot from the external USB drive rather than the internal drive. And then you'll just follow the graphical installer instructions from there. And when it gets to the section where you see where it's telling you where to install it, you would simply say, create a separate partition or overwrite the current partition. And obviously, if you don't want to lose your existing data, do not overwrite.
Noted.
The question from online, does Nix include a base hypervisor?
So are you asking me, once you're installed in Nix, once you have NixOS installed, can you run like KVM, for example?
Delay.
Type, clickety clack.
Clack.
Well, we'll see if it comes back to us.
Okay. Well, I'll try to answer that question to the best of my ability. Yes. So once NixOS is installed and you open up your configuration file, there are a myriad of options that you can look at the wiki for reference, the documentation. But one of those options is just enabling virtualization. So yes, you would have KVM. You can also do QEMU and all of the other kinds of virtualization options that you have in regular Linux or any Linux kernel.
Quick question too, just in case there's familiarity with other distributions. Is Nix like totally its own thing from scratch, or are they extended Arch or some other distros that people might be familiar with?
NixOS is not based on any other distribution. Conceptually, though, you could kind of think of it as Arch in terms of you start with nothing, right? So on Arch, you have to build your system from scratch. There's no built-in desktop environment, GUI, login manager, window manager, all of those things. It's like a choose your own meal kind of thing. And NixOS is the same way. Although the graphical installer makes it much easier to install than Arch. It's like out of the box, you can choose a graphical installer or a graphical user interface, and you in fact don't need to use a command line at all to install it. But once it is installed, you can control every aspect of it. So you don't have to have even systemd if you don't want. You can mix and match and choose whatever parts you want. So I don't think anybody here is going to have trouble using Etcher. It's a pretty simple tool to flash things to a USB drive. So I think next what we want to do is let me hear in the chat. Is anybody interested in seeing the screen sharing of one of the Mac OS users here? Maybe Steven or Nitesh would share his screen so that we can look at how to set up the virtual machine and get NixOS running on Mac OS.
I couldn't get it to work, so not me.
Nah.
I'm doing a system restart. I was halfway through software update, so not me.
If we have any other Mac users online, I can share mine, but I might have some difficulty because I got to clear up some more room for this virtual machine. But no, I think I could do it. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. I'm going to go here. And this could probably go. Oh boy.
Jordan, maybe while he's doing that, can you speak to a little bit about like the motivation for NixOS? Like we have Arch Linux. Why do we need something else kind of like it?
Yep, absolutely. So the question is why NixOS? How is it different than other Linux distributions? Maybe Arch for comparison.
Yeah, just like why do they think they needed an operating system?
So the first thing I would say is we need to understand Nix, the package manager and build tool. We talked about this last time, but I'd love to go over it again. The benefits of Nix.
Yeah, like I understand the package manager, and it makes a lot of sense for like reproducible builds. But like, why do you need a whole operating system for that?
So Nix, when you install it as a package manager on top of another Linux distro or as part on top of Mac OS, it's limited in its power. It doesn't have the ability to reach deep in the operating system and change things at a system level. With NixOS, you can configure every single detail of the system because it's built from the ground up with Nix. And so you can configure services, you can run it as a server, you can run it as you can run hypervisors on it. You can change every single aspect of it. Whereas if you're running it on NixOS, on another Linux distro or on top of Mac OS, it's limited and you won't be able to do those deep system level configurations.
Gotcha.
And then lastly, you won't be able to have backup generation. So for example, even if you're using it on regular Linux or on Mac OS and you mess up, you can't reboot and have those other previously saved states that you can boot into.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
You can't break your Linux machine.
Yeah.
It's happened to me a lot.
You can very easily brick your Linux machine when it's not NixOS.
That's what I meant.
With
Sorry.
NixOS, it makes it, I don't want to say impossible because I'm sure anybody out there is capable of messing things up, but it makes it a lot less likely.
Sweet.
One more thing on top of that, when you go to upgrade, so with traditional Linux, less so with Mac OS because it uses an immutable image under the hood, but a lot of times you might have a Linux distro and then you go to upgrade to the next big version and it messes something up in the upgrade process. And you either have to completely reinstall or it's just something is off. With NixOS, that doesn't happen. You can literally it's like toggling a switch and you can go to the next one. You can go back if you want to.
It's interesting. It's like everything's like an atomic operation.
Exactly.
There's no happenstance.
Yeah, it is an atomic operation. That's how they describe it.
Cool.
Do they use the AB root partition to achieve that, you know?
They use so AB root. There's kind of the one that's active and then the one that you're booting into, right?
One.
So you can think of it as A through Z through infinity root. You can have as many different backup generations as you want.
Do you know, is that just curious, but is it file system snapshots to achieve that?
The way it achieves that, and we'll look at this a little bit on the screen share so that the visual is more clear. But every time you create a generation in Nix, it's creating a new directory in the Nix store. The Nix store is just a root level directory that says Nix/store. And then every time you change a setting, add a new library, add a new application, it creates a unique directory with all of that information. And then it points to that. And so if it tries to point to it and it doesn't work, it just points to the previous one.
Okay.
I don't think we got too much. Antoine says he's already got NixOS installed, so he doesn't need to see the Mac. No one else chimed in, so I'm happy to share the screen if you want to show it off. I think I've got space now. For
Okay.
it. But however you want to proceed.
I think it would be helpful to show the installation process,
Okay.
even though it's pretty self-explanatory because it's just a graphical installer and you're just clicking next essentially. But if possible, I'd say let's spend a couple minutes trying to get that working. And if not, we can always move on.
Okay. So you want me to share maybe the UTM one?
Yes.
Let me check. Alrighty, let's see. I'll full screen this just so it's nice and big. And then let me present. Screen. Window. UTM. And okay, it looks like we have it up there. Okay. Cool.
So there are two programs that I know of on Mac OS ARM chips that allow for emulation of other operating systems. There's UTM, and that I'll show the website here. Oh wait, am I still sharing or need to share?
No, but well maybe hold on. I'll switch back to you. There you go.
So what was it? UTM.
Yeah.
There it is. Mac.utm, getutm.app, and go ahead and download that, install it. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then actually, Stephen, I'm going to go right back to your screen so we can see.
Okay. Yeah, so I had already installed the server one before we started streaming. Okay, so let me get back to window. All right, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So let's learn as we go because I don't know UTM off the top of my head, but let's create a new virtual machine.
Yeah, so I did before.
Virtualize.
And so like one thing we talked about in the room before this was that like I downloaded the NixOS GNOME for the ARM architecture. So because of that, I can choose virtualize and UTM. But maybe if you have the wrong architecture, I guess you'd need to emulate. But that would probably be pretty rough performance, I imagine. Okay, so I think I'm just going to hit the word. Where is it? Oh, shucks. It was here a moment ago. Oh, crap. Did I accidentally delete it? Hold on 1 second. Let me go for it. I had it on here earlier. Oh, crap. Please don't tell me I need to download it again. Dude, I feel like an idiot. I think I accidentally deleted the image. No, I've been trying to free up this space, so I've been emptying the trash bin. Okay, well, let me just download NixOS again. I had it earlier. So we're going to do GNOME 64-bit ARM, download this, and try not to go on a cleaning binge. And this is a 2.53 gigabyte ISO file, so we might be waiting on this thing for about 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
Don't you have it downloaded, Mitesh?
I do, but I have an issue getting it to work because of the network. It's not able to talk to the network. I don't know.
Could you pop it on there, put it on flash drive?
Yeah, I think I have it on mine too. Oh, but I don't have the ARM one.
You don't have the yeah.
But do you have the ARM one, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, sweet.
Go ahead and overwrite whatever on there.
UTM. So it's called like getutm.app is the website. mac.getutm.app.
Oh, I have to use Azure.
No, you can just
I just want to
drag and drop it.
No, it says this thing is not compatible with the system because I guess it's being booted.
Can you format it?
Put a disk utility and just
Try?
if you're cool with your USB being nuked.
Yeah, you can overwrite it.
It'll be erased. It'll be can Nitesh nuke a disk, reformat it as Apple file system, and drop a 2.5 gig ISO on it via a USB 3.0 interface before I can download it on a gigabit internet connection. The race is on.
That's what I'm racing you as well.
Let's do it, man.
So it's funny that like the two options it gives you for, or at least for UTM, is App Store versus like free download, and the App Store one is like $10. The free one is free.
Oh, that's weird.
And then the FAQ says the only difference is the App Store one automatically updates.
And charges you $10.
Yeah, well, I guess that's worth $10 to some people.
Yeah.
The funny thing is the auto update feature is just like a flag in the configuration file, probably. Like it could just as easily be.
Yeah.
I think it hooks into like iOS push notifications or something.
Oh, fancy pants.
Mac OS.
Yeah, whatever. The Apple Store app. I forget what they call their unified thing.
765 megabytes. Trucking along here. Doing it. Did you already download the NixOS package, Alex?
I did not.
That's the one. Yeah, you're gonna lose the race, man.
Hey.
You gotta get
Don't
that
count
shit.
me out.
You gotta get that shit downloading.
And then that's at NixOS.
What? How slow is this thing? It's saying 7 minutes to copy a 2 gig file.
Huh.
It's USB 3.0.
NixOS.
We've gotten spoiled by our USB-C interfaces.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to figure out now is how to, with UTM, how to enable network access.
Yeah. Arm.
For those of you who didn't see, Nitesh has UTM on his MacBook, and he's got NixOS, the ISO. He's booting, or he's starting that up, and then the problem is NixOS needs internet access to download things, and so he's trying to figure out how to give his virtual machine network access, and that's where we're stuck.
Wonder if like UTM needs like some special permissions.
Yeah, but
Or like,
Yeah, those PBRs are cursed.
like take it up and down flights of stairs 50 times so that
I did that the other night too.
UFW. Or you don't even like spit up your
So, you're talking about the
yeah.
yeah. Once you like select the ISO and then hit install, and then the Nix installer shows up, and then it says it cannot connect to the network, and it cannot continue installation.
I hit that and I connected. It gives you a live desktop environment, so you can connect to the network, and then you have to close but restart the installer from the whatchamacallit, the words are escaping me. The dock. That's what I had to do.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, because it was funny because there wasn't a way to like have it reattempt with the installer still open.
Okay, so I'm creating a new virtual machine. Virtualize other browse NixOS. Continue. Then hit play.
I think I'm like 30% of the way.
Well, I'm like 75% of the way there.
Well, I'm also only doing the minimal image, so I might win.
The minimal image.
Alex PyKentiki has said that App Store funds development.
Oh, so it's like you're nice to them, so you give them $10 for the free software.
Pretty
You should
much.
just set up like a tip bot or a tip jar donation page.
Yeah.
Or just do what Sublime does, where they just like annoy you about paying them.
Or man, we could have streaming sats every time you use the app. It streams sats to them. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, so what's the difference between the minimal image? Like,
No GUI. So it's just command line.
Okay,
Okay.
now
Well, we wanted to show off some of the
What-
cool
what should I
GUI
do?
stuff.
So if you
but-
go,
yeah, that's cool.
Well, I don't want to race
Okay.
here, so.
Okay.
yeah, go up to the top right. Is that,
A little bit
it's
less
showing a
than that
network
Yeah,
icon.
right. But
Is that,
it can't
Did
use
you
the
have any
internet. It can't
controls?
use the internet for some reason. I don't know why.
is it
Stream from ATL Bit Lab on
Stuck.
Twitter.
is it
Why is it stuck?
KVM
Oh, you
or
just let them
Chemio?
download those, I-
Do you need to set
Yeah,
something in
secure
your,
view.
Yeah.
Under
do
the
you need
hood.
to, does that pass through all your networking? Or do you have to do something to activate it for this?
It's not asking
Instance.
for anything. Something blocking. No, Apple's not blocking anything.
Like in here, it shows networking is active.
Yeah,
And if you tap on that, does it give you some,
it's
options?
stuck for some reason. I mean,
oh, yeah, that's, because I got that, but I was able to tweak the settings and I enabled
yeah.
the Wi-Fi.
I got. Oh, there was an option for Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Okay. No, I'm not getting Wi-Fi option at all. It somehow wants to just pass through and connect to my host machine.
And you tried the couple different network options.
Hey, what did that guy do? He just. Can you go back?
your host machine doesn't have any options for locking it down or anything?
I
It
don't
doesn't show anything?
think so. Wait, he's booting up Windows?
Yeah.
Oh,
1 second
that
away.
was an NixOS video.
Boom! I got an ISO file.
Hey, stop bragging, man. Just because you won doesn't mean you have to be sort of winner.
Sore winner, yeah. Okay, I will try adding this to the stage again. I'll take Alex off the screen.
Okay, so yeah, if I go to the network settings, what?
I'm gonna try this now.
Yeah, it says connected, but it cannot do a wireless connection.
Okay, Jordan, I'm gonna try this now. You want
Yeah,
to
so it only sees the, like an Ethernet.
guide us
Right.
along just to keep it moving
And
here?
it
Yeah.
somehow does it to the host machine.
And it
So,
says, if you go back to settings,
So,
which
the-
settings? This one?
yeah, connection
Okay.
settings. So,
can you guys hold on for just a second? Sorry, we're gonna try and go do this further. I'm not trying to stop your troubleshooting. I just want to give anyone else watching the stream on a
Oh,
Mac a
there's
chance.
an actual GitHub issue.
Okay, so we're gonna select the image I just downloaded. Is that right, Jordan?
Yes.
Bridge mode works.
And-
What? Oh, they use the bridge mode.
Okay, NixOS GNOME 64 Linux ISO. I'll open that. Continue. Okay.
Yep.
And then
Give
that was
it
good.
however much memory you can spare.
That's probably about what I got right now. And the default CPU cores.
Yep. That should default should be fine.
Specify the size of the drive. So I don't have that much, but it said 10 minimum earlier. So why don't I just say like 16? See where that gets us.
Hopefully.
I could just, this will be a test NixOS thing for me anyway.
Okay.
So try that. Okay. I think this is if you want a directory on your Mac to be like mountable or something like that inside. I'm not going to worry about that for now. I don't need
No, you don't need to worry about that.
Hit continue. I'm going to call this NixOS test 1. Anything else you think I need to change here?
Everything else should be default.
Okay.
Wait. Let me see if there's any network related stuff there.
Image, operating system, storage, CPU, RAM, system, architecture, engine.
Nope.
So hit save. And now I have a big play button just inviting me to play it as
Yeah,
if it were
go
a
ahead.
YouTube stream. I'll play it. It's a nice clean arrow icon they have.
Yeah, triangles, man.
Let me make sure. Oh, it's interesting. It's like it's a different window on a machine, so they're not seeing it. So you know what? I'm just going to let me make sure that they can see what I'm seeing. I'm going to share screen.
I didn't even notice. I won the race. Just kidding. I lost the race. He won. He beat me. my race. But
Timed out waiting for RPC.
do you know which one I clicked?
Try it again.
because I installed it natively.
Gotcha.
Oh, I got the Wi-Fi
Virtualization
thing to work,
for open access.
the network to work. So you have to, when you're setting it up, there is a checkbox like at the very beginning when you like pick the ISO and click next. There's a checkbox that says open settings or something like that, and then you have to switch the network mode to bridged.
Okay. Steven, you want to try running through that with Nitesh's suggestion?
Yeah, let me just get the whole thing shared. Sorry.
So you have to do this. So when you click virtualize, and then pick the ISO, and then continue this, and then over here click open VM settings. And then when you click save and then click the play button, it'll first open up a settings dialog, and then you should see a network tab, and then you can switch the network to bridge mode.
Perfect. Thank you for figuring that out.
Okay, so
So we're going to create a new VM, virtualize, other, choose our image. Continue, however much space, continue, and then this time check open VM settings,
So like when I'm doing when it's running, but
okay,
save, and then
that's it.
Yeah, now go to network
now we're going to network,
and then switch it to bridge mode.
Oh, this is
which should
shared network,
Okay.
Bridged.
bridged,
That's it. And
Or
save.
I'm
and then
thinking
save.
so OS and stuff. Boom.
All right,
Okay.
give it a click. Let's see what happens.
I'm not gonna run the same issue.
You might have to, yeah, where do you make that change? Is that in the toolbar of the?
Oh,
Okay.
nope, I win. Haha, let's go.
the race was to download the image.
Well, I mean, I haven't
Anyways.
booted and I'm in right now.
Yeah, I know,
So
but
I
we-
won like
Sure,
you won the
okay.
battle, I won the war.
Okay, go on. We're trying to show off. It's part of the workshop. We're trying to show off. Jordan wanted to show off the graphical user interface.
Yeah,
That's
it
not
sounds like something that
That's-
a winner wouldn't say, but you know.
I'm trying to workshop. All right. So, what next?
Okay, now we're gonna wait for the virtualization to do its thing and boot up the NixOS installer. Thankfully, Nitesh has helped us out. Steven has helped us out. We're gonna see on Steven's machine, we're gonna see the virtualized NixOS installer. So if you were using this on bare metal hardware, what you would do is you'd be plugging in your USB drive and booting off of it, and you would get to this screen.
It was alarming when it said the internet wasn't connected, but then it went away.
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay.
Activation of
It's
network
installed.
connection. Okay, well then it went away. On yours, Nitesh, did you get anything?
I
where it
didn't get that. Can you click on NixOS again in the,
Let's
in the
try
center?
it. I haven't. Yeah, I didn't click on it at all.
And okay, can you go top right corner and then click on that? Yeah, that. And then wired. It's disconnected. Can you go to wired settings?
Sure. Whoops. Wired settings.
Oh, it's off. I don't know why. Huh.
Okay. Well, that seems good. Maybe you just X out of here.
It's supposed to say connected.
Connecting. Maybe it turned off because it failed to connect.
I guess. I don't know. I have not experienced that
Give it
issue.
a drill down into here and see some stuff.
Is your Mac like settings bouncing somewhere that is asking for permissions, like down below or not?
I was wondering that, but I don't. That's annoying.
Okay, probably not. Can you go to your Mac settings? Okay. No, this is nothing weird. Yeah, can you scroll down on privacy and security?
Yeah. I was looking here for networking earlier,
Okay.
but I didn't see anything that jumped
Okay.
out at me.
Yeah, I didn't have that issue. Mine just said connected.
Well, maybe I should try it again. I don't know.
Maybe your laptop does not need that bridge to load. I have no idea.
Well, we can try without it. Let's see. I wonder if I should delete this VM and just start over.
Yeah, you're technically supposed to get a delete button. Maybe you have to shut it down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, now we should maybe still use it. Yeah. The installation is pretty slow. It's taking its time.
Yeah, for anybody who's virtualizing it, keep in mind that VM Duro is going to be a little slower than bare metal.
NixOS test. Okay, I'm going to do the VM settings just in case we need it. This was network. I think we did shared network.
Shared is default. I switched to bridge.
There's also these emulated network cards.
I did not change that.
Okay,
I just
so
left the way it is.
we'll just go. You're on an M1, is that right?
Yeah.
So I have this. We should have the same network card.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll just try it on shared this time, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do. Okay. So we'll just let it do its thing, or I'll hit it. Yeah.
Yep.
Booting Linux kernel. Oh yeah.
I like how this inception we have going. We're doing a Linux virtual machine on Mac OS hardware that's going to StreamYard. And then here in person, I am plugged into the HDMI monitor and I'm viewing his screen share.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Computers, man.
Maybe the irony is I'm done, and you can't watch my screen when I was installing it to my hardware, but it was a direct to the disk.
Oh yeah, we should have
It's working great.
had your screen shared.
But you couldn't share it while I was doing the install.
Oh, that's true.
So I could have held it up in front of the webcam.
Ooh, is that a network icon that's filled in?
Yeah, that's it. It'll say connected for me too, but it'll just say I don't have internet.
Well, their design system language speaks to me.
Don't celebrate yet. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you didn't.
All right.
Oh, you didn't need the same thing.
Jackpot.
Okay.
It's
All
not.
right.
All right. let's go.
Default.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
if
good.
default does not
Or has
work,
it got like some kind of
switch
crazy
it to
multi
bridge mode.
thing?
Would you mind maximizing that?
This.
I was going to say the
Let's try
Mac
that
OS window. Yeah. There we go.
Ooh,
So
nice.
this is the installer. It's going to be very simple, graphical, next button kind of thing.
Let me hit the next button.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
There's just a mistake here. This says New York in the time zone. It should be the Atlanta time zone.
Gotcha. You should file a pull request.
Yeah. Okay. English US default. Yeah, looks legitimate. Okay.
I had a question on this screen.
Yeah.
That it asks for your username, but then below it asks for the administrative account. And I usually set one up explicitly and then create my users separately. Is that just setting the password for the root account if you do put in a value?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you keep the same password, if you use the same password, then your user has sudo access. And if you give it a different password, then the user, I think, is going to be a regular user, and the password that you get it will be the root password.
Okay.
Interesting. It's asking for an administrator
You can
password.
click the checkbox above.
What did I just do?
Use the same password.
No, I made the screen go nuts by pressing some hotkey or something.
No, I'm saying. you can
But
click the
yeah,
checkbox.
Stephen, if you do want the same password, you can check that box.
Oh, nice. Okay. I see. Thanks.
Now here's a screen that's interesting. This is what I mentioned before, where typically when you are installing Linux, you have to choose which ISO you want to download and install, because the desktop environment, which consists of the graphical user interface and a bunch of applications, is tightly integrated into the Linux distro. So, but here in NixOS, because it's as simple as changing some configurations, the installer includes several different desktop environments. The most widely used one, and therefore the default, is GNOME. And for those of you who aren't familiar, maybe you don't use desktop Linux, GNOME has sort of a more Mac OS type workflow to it. And so if you are more used to Mac OS, you might find that more comfortable and more similar to what you're used to. If you are more of a Windows person, the next most popular desktop environment is Plasma. And so that's going to give you a system that looks more like Windows. And then all the other ones are just sort of forks and spin-offs. And
I haven't seen this one in years.
yeah, some of them are designed for really low resource systems. So maybe if you have an old machine, old hardware, you might want to choose one of the other ones, like LXQT and XFCE are much less of a drain on resources. So if you don't have a good graphics driver or a low amount of memory or processor, maybe you want to go with those. I typically use GNOME or Plasma.
We want to be total chads. We could do this, I guess.
Yeah, so if you want to do a server, then obviously it's just a waste of space and time to choose a desktop environment. But for the purposes of this demo, let's do a desktop environment so we can show that off.
Gnome it off, I guess.
Yep.
I'm a Chad.
Yeah.
Total command line, Chad. So this one is just by default, it does not allow unfree software, meaning like Libre, FOSS. And we are going to check yes, because we might want to use things like Discord and I don't know, Chrome or something.
Yeah, Richard Stallman's not in the room, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. On this one, if you were on bare metal and you wanted to dual boot and install it side by side, you would want to choose manual partitioning. But in the case of this virtual machine, go ahead and do erase disk, because it's all virtual, so it doesn't actually erase your disk.
Should we do any swap?
And make sure you choose the right disk if you're doing a direct install.
Yep. If you're doing it on bare metal, be careful not to overwrite your current data. Otherwise, and if you are also installing bare metal, I highly recommend clicking encrypt system at the bottom. That's just standard operating procedure in my book. I always have an encrypted drive, but this is a virtual machine. It's completely unnecessary, and it will just add processing overhead, so don't bother. So let's go ahead and do next. This is just a confirmation screen.
Ooh, unfree software gets its own top level heading.
So after I finished installing NixOS, it restarted. Now it's back to the installer menu. What do I select to go to actually start using the OS?
That's a good question.
This is more interesting if you hit toggle log and you could see the actual contents. You may want to do that for the people that are watching.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
on the right side, because there's actually, it stays at 46% for a while, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the background.
So you see this /nix/store and then all of those directories. We talked about this last time with the Nix package manager, but what this is Nix is everything that Nix installs that's not your user files goes into /nix/store. And then the reason that there's a long string after that is every single package, every single build and derivation that it creates, it hashes the entire value, so that a single bit change would cause a new hash value to come out. It's a SHA-256, which many of us are familiar as fellow Bitcoiners, but you'll see that we have /nix/store, the SHA-256 hash, and then the name of the library or package. So you see like Perl and then the version number. So what that means is that if a single thing changes on it, it's going to create a whole new directory. And then when you activate it, Nix is pointing, it's using symlinks under the hood to point to the appropriate directory here in the Nix store. So this is how Nix is able to have multiple versions of packages installed simultaneously and then use whatever one you tell it to be active. And this is also how it's able to roll back. So when you boot up and you choose a previous derivation or previous generation, it's simply store and boots from there.
Sick.
And everything inside the Nix store, you never have to worry about manually manipulating any of that. This is all stuff that's going to just be taken care of by Nix as you're issuing Nix commands.
I just panicked that I chose the wrong disk to install.
Are you putting it directly on the laptop?
Yeah, but on a little SD card, basically, or USB file system.
I
It
see.
told me I had a terabyte of disk space, and I do not have that much disk space on here. And I was like, oh my god, I chose the wrong disk. But it's okay.
Oh, that's good. I'm a little alarmed though that Natesha's just goes back to the install screen.
Yeah, I don't know. I started over again. Let's see.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, maybe you got hacked.
So Alex, you are currently up and running in NixOS with no GUI?
Yep.
All right, cool. Maybe for the purposes of the demo, would you mind screen sharing?
Sure. How do I do that?
Give us a second when we get you the link.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up tutorials about how to do what you're doing or what you're talking about, like on this. Like there's not a ton of, or I found like a couple blog posts about like setting up a minimal configuration.
Yeah, so here's where the workshop is important. Up until now, we've been doing non-NixOS stuff, just trying to get emulators working. But here's where I'm going to inject my opinionated tutorial, which is we're going to do things a certain way. And that way is the new CLI or the new API for Nix, and it's called Nix Flakes.
Sweet.
And we're going to look specifically at how to set it up with that because it's to me and many others, it is the way forward, and the old interface is kind of being deprecated. The documentation is terrible. The official documentation is terrible, but there's a lot of good third-party resources out there, and I'm going to link and share those.
Sweet.
So I just sent you a link on Signal to our studio.
Amen.
And then
Antoine is agreeing wholeheartedly that flakes are the way.
Should I do micro video?
none of that. Yeah, you should be good if you have all those buttons redded out. You're good. Okay, and then present, and then maybe I think for you, you can probably just share the UTM window. Yeah. Yeah, and then go to a window. Okay, and then I will add you to the stage here. And cool.
Okay, so what we're doing now is Alex is sharing his screen, and he decided to install the Nix ISO with no GUI. So he's at the command line. That's perfectly fine. But we can even show how easy it is to enable a GUI later. So Alex, what we're going to do is navigate to /etc/Nix and do a ls and show us what's in there. Oh, you already did. I'm sorry. It's /etc/NixOS. Thank you. And now you see your configuration.nix. Interestingly, if you go back real quick, we only have the configuration.nix. If this were installed on bare metal hardware, you would also see another file called hardware configuration.nix, and that is going to be automatically generated. You don't need to mess with it, but it's just good to be aware of it. So please open up that file for editing. And wow, interesting. This is the most minimal configuration I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never looked at it like that.
It said minimal on the website.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And it is importing the installation DVD Huh.
Installation CD.
CD,
Lol.
yeah. That is interesting. Okay. So go to, I'm looking up a little bit of syntax right now. Okay, Alex, go ahead and type. I want you to add a couple of things, Alex.
Yep.
I want you to add this line here.
One. Okay. Where?
This is going to be inside the braces. So yeah, right there.
Okay.
And then I want you to add. Oops. Add this whole section.
Environment, system packages.
I'll make it bigger.
Equals with pkgs.
You can skip this line with the hash in front of it. That's just a comment.
Get them. I mean, Vim is installed, so. But I guess. Is that strange to get the Vim's already there?
It must be enabled by default on the minimal installation, so that's cool.
It's hard to imagine a Vimless distribution.
I've had it. I've seen it before.
Insanity.
Madness.
There be dragons.
Variables that's Tor equals this Vim. Good thing we're still sane. And is that it? I think that's it. Was anybody looking at what I was typing to like proofread?
If you messed it up, you'll soon know. The next when it builds, it'll show you your errors.
Since it's a read-only file, but I can just force write. It's fine.
Oh shit! You should have done sudo vim. That's my mistake.
That's okay. Okay, that's maybe I can save it to my system clipboard, so I don't have to do this again.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Whoops.
Could you maximize your UTM window
Yeah.
for the stream?
Yes. Or is it? What does it look like?
Oh, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a,
Oh, I guess it is maximized.
but I mean, if you make it wider, it might work.
Okay. Is that the change of size?
There should be a green thing on there with the little Mac OS thing.
I don't see it. It's weird. Aces sharing.
Mine has it. It's like right there. See?
It's full screen. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I can close out of this. I can also close out of this. Actually, I might have been able to change it from there. But okay, so then we want to do the same thing. My the mercy didn't save.
Did you sudo vim it?
I did not. So then that thing.
You do it again.
Okay, let's just sudo tech. We're on CD, etc, NixOS. Configuration, set RMU. Read only still set. Can I force write? Cool, I can. Now let's see if my thing says so. Nope.
Nothing can register.
Yeah, no. So I have to accept it again. That's okay. Would you mind pulling it up again? Next dot setting. No. Environment dot system.
If you want, I can paste this in the
I
chat.
can't access my outer system clipboard either. So
You're gonna want everything here. Match this entire thing except for the hardware configuration.
It's the misspell anything. Cool. We are written. Now what?
All right, now type in NixOS dash rebuild. Hang on, I'm not finished. NixOS rebuild, switch, and that's it. So what it's doing now, it's building your configuration, and if it succeeds, if it fails, it's because of a syntax error or something, it would tell you, but it has succeeded. So it's successfully built, and now those packages that you added, git, vim, wget, and curl, those will all be available. So you should be able to do like a git operation, do a git status or something.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Badass.
Okay, perfect. So now what we want to do is we're going to use a Flake template that I created. And so do, let's see. I'm just trying to think of the best directory for you to do this in.
Oh.
Do, no. I think you could stay in here for now. Do git clone and then github.com/Jordan-Bravo/ NixOS tac Flake tac template.
Look up.
Yes. Okay. And now you'll see a new file. Oh, well. Move the flake.nix into the, or move it into the above directory. And then go ahead and you can trash that empty directory. Okay, now go ahead and open up flake.nix.
Let's do it through them. If I need the environment open more.
A single window should be fine. Okay, so there's a lot of comments in here, but if you were to take out the comments, it's actually a very simple file. And what this is going to do, I want to point out a couple of things here. The inputs is you're going to see two top level objects. There's inputs and outputs. Inputs is things like nixpackages.url, which is pointing to the Nix packages repo. That's all of the largest repository of all of the packages packaged up for Nix. And right now we have it pointing to NixOS TAC 23.11. That was November of 2023. NixOS comes out with two major versions per year, every 6 months. There's one in November and one in April. And so if you want the quote unquote stable version of your system and packages, you're pointing to one of those. If you were to have NixOS TAC unstable, you would be pointing to the latest version, and you would have whatever the latest version of all the packages are. So that's your option. I run on unstable and I find it incredibly stable. It just happens that I get the latest packages, but that's also up to you. The next one you'll see, the next input is Home Manager. We went over Home Manager last time, and this is for managing all of the things in your home directory and your user files, your user configurations. Similarly, Home Manager has data releases, but it also has unstable, which gives you the latest packages. Now let's scroll down to outputs. And where it says NixOS test, that is going to be the host name of your system. So change that to whatever your system's host name is.
Oh, how do I get that? Just who am I on my normal machine?
Yeah.
Is that actually what it is? Just who am I?
Host name.
Host name. Host name. This will elicit a chuckle from the audience, maybe. Actually, yeah, shoot, I need a.
But Alex, you're changing the architecture. You want to change where it says NixOS test.
NixOS test. Just this ring.
Everything inside the quotes, change it to whatever your host name is.
Is there an S beside Alex?
Yeah, Alex is my name, really.
Alex is.
This isn't 100% going to matter for an emulated virtual machine, or I mean a virtual machine, but on the reason you want this to match your host name is if you have more than one host and you want to keep different configurations, that's going to be able to point Nix to the proper one.
Quick note: I did get the GUI working. I found the problem,
Oh, awesome.
but this is probably good to keep on. But if you want to show it off later, I can, and I can also show off what was going wrong on yours. I think.
You had to like deselect the CD
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I
Take the
did.
CD out of the drive. Man.
Yeah.
Jordan,
I figured it out like 10 minutes later.
Jordan, just to clarify, or just
Like, I assumed it would like kick out the CD automatically, but
It
then
should be my actual systems, not my NixOS subsystems, not the virtual machines.
When you downloaded the ISO, did you choose the ARM or the
ARM.
Linux? I mean the x86. Okay, so that should be, it should match. It should be Arch 64 Linux.
Okay. Arch, just
There's an extra A in front of it, which it's ARM architecture 64 TAC Linux. Yep.
Cool.
And there's also, it's worth noting that there's also one for Mac OS architecture, and it would say TAC Darwin.
cool.
All right. So
can I ask a more important question?
yes.
In the GUI, how do I put something on the desktop as a shortcut?
Super key.
That is an anti-pattern, and I am not going to condone it. Okay, Alex, go ahead and scroll down past those comments,
I can't see anything.
and you'll notice you have modules equals, and then there's a list of things that it's importing, and it's importing our configuration.nix in the same directory.
Cool.
So go ahead and save and close that.
Or should I just open another tab?
And then you're going to run the command we did last time, NixOS tac rebuild space switch. And what it's doing now is it's using that flake.nix. So I talked about this a little bit last time. Flake.nix is going to be at the root of your configuration. Also, if you're doing a dev environment with Nix, it'll be at the root of the repository. And we got an error message.
Yeah, the Arch. I see it.
Okay, let's go back into it. I bet you the virtual machine is actually simulating the x86 architecture. So go back into your flake.nix and change that architecture back to x86_64.
It was something else before that.
You sure about that?
Yeah, it was.
And then TAC Linux
Okay. X86.
64.
Wait, yeah, 64. TAC Linux. Maybe,
Yeah.
Maybe this is it.
That should work. Okay, let's see what happens. Why does it still think?
I'm sure we got the name right.
Packages AR64 Linux. Let's take a look. Let me take a look at my configuration.
have to do technically?
See, I thought if you were in the same directory that you wouldn't have to, but all right, we're doing some live debugging. Let's pull up some documentation.
Top of your head, do you know where the MRC is?
Do I what?
Do you know where the MRC is?
It should be in the home directory,
Oh, okay.
the usual spot.
Slash. Home.
Oh, Alex, you know what? I think you might have been right before. We need to have the host name be the virtual machine host name.
All good.
So I think it's just NixOS.
Yep. Just like that. And then should I change it back to ARM?
Let's see if it builds on this.
Cool.
This is error.
I know, but it's something new.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting that with my install.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to interrupt, but
You're getting
I don't-
something similar?
yeah, right around the options and the config checked area. I don't know if it's something upstream that's goofed or.
Something, yeah, sec. What is sec? CQ.
Okay. Alex, in your configuration.nix, get rid of the import that you currently have.
Oh, okay.
Comment out the
Where's this .hardware/hardware config?
the imports.
Just get rid of the whole line, or just the contents?
Just hash.
You
before
might want the imports later.
it. Just put a hash before the import statement. I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay, try that. Cannot look up. Still trying to look that up.
I think you didn't do sudo, so it failed. Oh no, it did fail. Never mind.
Hey, Edison.
Okay.
Bang.
There we go.
Go Knicks.
Let's freaking go. Look at that. It's flying.
Good Knicks.
So now ooh, got an error.
Uh-oh.
x86 Linux.
Oh, you got.
So now, yeah, we do need to switch over the architecture.
Sweet. What's the right thing?
ARC64.
Arch 64 Linux.
Like that?
Yeah.
Bang.
What is this now?
Alex, I'm gonna have to abandon you for a little bit.
It's okay. I know it was a lost cause.
Let's Stephen, if you don't mind switching over to your screen.
Yeah, sure.
Let's take a look at the graphical installer where everything is nice and friendly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what I want to do. Hold on a second. Let's see.
Chat mode deactivated.
Real quick, it might be good to point out just, God damn. Okay, so I have the OS here, but if anybody else runs into this, after you finish installing from the ISO, the ISO is going to be loaded into this virtual CD DVD ROM drive. I already cleared it, but you need to click on this and go find the clear button and clear that out.
Yep.
It's like taking the disk out of the drive in a sense. All right, so let me get our actual machine. All right, you can drive, Jordan.
Okay. So this is just like any graphical desktop environment. Go ahead and click in, log in.
I hope I remember my password. Where's the login button or enter button?
I guess just hit enter.
Yeah, they thought they were so fucking clever. No thanks on the tour.
No thanks. Could you maximize that so we can
Oh, yeah.
see the whole thing? Perfect. All right, so this is a standard GNOME desktop environment. If you press the
1 second, real quick. I just want to make sure of something. Just can.
So I guess I'll share it, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I just want to make sure we're test 1. Okay, just making sure our audio is still good. I got some like weird mic is muted thing. I think it's because I was looking on your screen. Whatever. All right, cool. Let's go to window, and we're back. All right, what's up?
All right. So just to give a visual, I don't know how familiar you are with GNOME, but you can browse around, open stuff up. Just to give an idea, this is a very standard.
Yeah, it's weird how it like shows the desktop like this. I haven't used GNOME in like many versions.
Everything is of course configurable. I don't like that it defaults to that, so I change it, but
I see.
that's a personal preference thing. Go ahead and open up your terminal.
Oh, it's weird. The thing went away when I went into the screen.
Yeah,
Weird.
Yeah, you can't keep going. I maybe it just doesn't.
Everything on a virtual machine is a little weird because sometimes it doesn't get your gestures properly.
Console or external?
Console.
Yeah, it's like having to translate all of the system inputs into stuff manually. So.
Well,
Now,
bullshit.
Now we're going to do similar to what we saw on Alex's end, but I'm not sure if Alex, I've never done the minimal install before, so there might be a configuration there that we're missing. But Stephen, go ahead and CD into /etc/NixOS and ls. Cool. We saw this before. As I mentioned, you'll likely have hardware configuration.nix that's automatically generated. So go ahead and open up for editing configuration.nix.
If you double click the toolbar, it'll maximize.
Well, at least this VM can do something right. All right, we're doing hardware config.
Sudo in front of it.
I don't know if it has been.
Sudo.
Mine didn't have.
Sudo, oh yeah. Sudo nano. Nano.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, Nano's the built-in.
Yeah, nano is, so we were talking about a system that doesn't have Vim built in. By default, only nano is the only system package that's installed in NixOS.
Then why did mine have it? Why did the minimal install have it?
I don't know. I think they figure if you're doing the minimal install, you're a total Chad and you must have Vim.
Yeah, fair enough.
let me just test something real quick here. Nice, it worked. Okay.
Okay. If you do Control Shift minus, it will zoom out or decrease. No?
You want less space?
Oh, there it is. There's a graphical one. Yeah, I was just going to say.
Tell me when. Just 100%.
That's probably, is that too small for people?
Too small.
Yeah,
Okay.
one more,
A little bit
bigger.
I'll do like 140 maybe.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bigger even if you can.
All right, that's good.
That's good.
Cool.
Okay, so I did Control Shift something or the other, and you want me to search for some?
No, let's just start at the top and scroll down. This is the default auto-generated configuration.nix.
Okay.
So we already saw some of this stuff, but this is we have the boot stuff, the file system stuff.
So it's supposed to be in the hardware configuration.
Is this hardware
This
configuration?
is hardware.
I asked
configuration.
him.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody had thought said that.
No, my mistake. We want to be editing configuration.nix. Hardware configuration will be completely auto-generated, and then it's imported there. So scroll down a little.
What if we change the time then the America's line?
American/Atlanta?
Yeah.
Could try it. See what goes there.
Keep going, keep going. And keep going. Okay, stop. Now here, environment.system packages, and then this is where it's going to list out all the packages we want. So go ahead and put in anything you're interested in here. Comments are with hashes, so you just write it without comments and without hashes. Make sure you have Git, Steven, so we can do flakes. And then lastly,
GIT.
Yep. And then lastly, you also want to add
Lolcat.
you want to add this this line right here.
And it goes underneath imports.
It will go anywhere inside these open curly braces. So like you'll see at the top, there's
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. So just
that should work.
right here. Okay. So we are going to not import. We're going to do nix.settings. Nix settings dot experimental features. I think that's all typed correctly. Equals then nix command as well as flakes. Close that out. Look at them.
Trailing semicolon.
They use like spaces on either end because they're fancy. That's it.
That's it.
Okay, let's write it. Exit.
And then sudo nixos tac rebuild space switch.
Come on, big money, no whammies.
You can do it, virtual machine. I believe in you. You ever stop believing in
Why don't I
yourself?
see your stuff right now on,
Oh.
on TV?
That's just Jordan.
Oh, okay.
That's just like because it's going
Inside, yeah.
But yeah, no, the stream should be seeing my stuff.
Hey,
All right. Now
Let's
you will
go.
have Git. And the reason that we added that line to enable flakes is that's going to give us all of the new commands. Alex, I don't know if you got a chance to see part one, but we talked about this last time.
Anything else for guys?
The Nix flakes are quote unquote experimental, but it's like I compare it to in Bitcoin, you have a huge open source project where a lot of people, any big change is going to be controversial. So a lot of people, a lot of like OG, graybeard Bitcoiners are going to be like, oh, I don't like this SegWit crap and Taproot, these newfangled contraptions. Like, I don't like it. So similarly in Nix, you have some old school OG Nixers who are like, I don't like flakes and the new syntax. Yeah. So, I like the new stuff, and that's what I'm going to be teaching today.
yeah.
So that's what we enabled with Flakes. And then that also allows you to download, for example, that template that I gave. So go ahead and do a git clone. And then github.com/Jordan Tac Bravo /NixOS Tac Flake Tac template. And then do a space dot to give it, to tell it to do it in this directory.
Then should I do .git?
You can, that's optional. And then
Okay.
space, and then dot, and it's telling it to clone it into this directory.
Okay, into etc nixos.
Yes.
Okay. Fatal destination path dot already exists and is not an empty directory. Should I do /?
Just get rid of the dot.
Yeah, I guess get rid of it. Because what it's going to do is it's
Or,
going
yeah.
to clone it into the Nix. It's going to make a new directory. Oh, I guess you'll have to do it with sudo because this is in a.
Bang bang.
Now you'll see the. Now I would say move the flake.nix file in that directory into parent directory.
Okay. So we'll say nix, big template, and it'll be flake.nix.
Yep.
And then we just want to move it to flake.nix.
Yes.
Yep. And after, by the way, after we do this, I'm going to show you how to move it into your home directory so that you don't have to use sudo every time.
I am just going to be basic as fuck and just use nano here to look at this.
It's fine. fucking
Don't forget sudo though.
sudo.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to edit it. I thought we were just going to look at it.
Yep.
Okay, exit.
So go ahead and scroll down. We might have to change the architecture. Remind me, Alex, it was Arch 64, AR 64 for this?
Or
It never worked for me.
Oh, it didn't?
But mine, I did download the ARM architecture ISO file and I hit virtualize, so it should be.
Okay, try replacing x86 64 with Arch 64 back Linux.
Written.
And then scroll down and see if there's anything else you want to change.
Okay, tell me how fast or slow you want me to go.
Just make a note that modules is importing your configuration.mix.
Oh, the other file we worked on earlier.
Yep. And now let's see if that'll rebuild.
Okay. It's gonna, hit up over and over and over again. There we go. Sudo nixos rebuild switch.
Yep. Cool.
Just do like sudo rebuilds or sudo like ni and then hit up and then go straight to it.
Could also do up caret and the exact number of prior commands that it was. So you did if it was 16 commands back. Error, flake path, etc. NixOS does not provide attribute packages. Arch Linux.
There's no Arch Linux stuff for NixOS.
There definitely is.
Should we just get on Chat GPT and be like, hey, if I'm, using, trying to make a fucking flake.nix on ARM, Mac M1 chip, what should I put in the architecture?
Try changing. Yeah, we could do that next, but I would say before we ask ChatGPT, try changing the Linux word to Darwin.
Oh, yeah, good call. Okay, let's see what we got here.
There are basically 4 architectures that you'll see in Nix packages. There's x86 64 Linux, x86 64 Darwin, and then AR64 Linux, AR64 Darwin.
I could have sworn I just changed it. Let's see. Did I fail to save it, maybe? Let's see.
Yes.
Yep, it's saved.
Huh.
What is this? Still say Arch Linux.
Let's see.
I don't know. Does when you say something with nano, does it actually write it immediately?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's verify this. Just lets it. There we go. Arch64 Darwin.
And is the error message mentioning Darwin?
No, it still mentions the other one.
Linux.
Do we have the architecture mentioned in configuration.nix at all?
Let's take a look.
You do slash and then type whatever you're looking for.
That's something Ben command.
It's on less as well.
It's on list as well. I do.
x86.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know.
All right. So we're having a little troubleshooting issue with the architecture here. So let's fall back to the standard way of doing it. Go ahead and rename flake.nix to flake.nix.bak or whatever, just something to rename it and say we'll deal with it later.
Hold on 1 second. I'm just curious. It's flake.lock. I was just wondering if there was a file name conflict. All right, so we'll move it to flake.nix.backup or something. I need to move flake.nix move. Nix. As usual.
Okay. Now let's do a sudo edit for configuration.nix.
Okay, sudo.
And let's go down to the system packages. And I would say let's add something graphical. How about Brave?
Just like that, just Brave.
Yep. And go ahead and keep this open when you save it and just switch to your other tab to rebuild it.
So let's see, what was it? It was
Sudo NixOS rebuild.
Did you do right bang, like :w bang?
I just wrote it.
Do :w bang if you're reading only files, you need to overwrite something. So :w bang.
I think it's written.
Yeah, I mean, it said it was written.
Okay. The bang it. Gotta overwrite it.
Banging Nix configs.
Let's see.
Oh, maybe I should have banged it.
Scroll up a little bit on that
Sorry,
error
I
message.
almost want to bang it.
There's somebody said x86. Packages x86. Is that what you want?
Okay, let's take a look.
Scroll to the top of this
Yeah.
message.
Oh, dude, it's fucking being weird.
Packages Brave. Oh, okay. Let's try. What's happening right now is Brave is maybe not available for ARM64.
Try like Chromium or some like easier browser.
Stephen, go ahead and open up your browser outside of the. What did I do? Just for people watching who may not be familiar from last time, open up search.nixos.org.
Okay, let's see. Search.nixos.org.
And then type in Brave. If you click on Brave, it will show, click on NixOS configuration, and it will show platforms. Yes. So it's only available for x86 Linux. So let's try something else.
Alex suggested Chromium. Let's try Google Chromium.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Arch64. Which
Arch64 Linux.
think is our.
Yeah, we think that'll work.
So just ungoogle.chromium.
Yes.
Okay.
Packages dot.
Yeah, ungoogle-chromium.
The packages is destructured outside of the list.
Please switch the screen on the TV.
I closed StreamYard.
Oh. Yeah, I did.
You can reopen it. Ungoogled-chromium.
I had Brave.
It worked.
It worked.
Wow.
Bang it.
He has a x86 64.
So now I'm going to go and try and sudo nix rebuild switch again.
Feeling good about this one.
Yeah, it's like copying paths and stuff. That's a good sign.
No.
So quiet, you could hear a pin drop.
You can hear the you can hear the packages building. Sounds like a warehouse.
The clicking and whirring of the
All right.
disk hard drive. Hey,
Let's go.
Let's see how Google Chromium looks like.
yeah, can I just like do that now?
Maybe it's just Chromium. Should be on your path.
have like source to your
It's
password.
on Google Chromium.
No.
Oh, that's sick.
Go.
That's sick.
Fuck Google. Yeah.
Now go to google.com and search something.
Stick it to the man.
No, man, we're going to start page.
Oh yeah. So
Go to Facebook.
now I gave you guys a taste of how to work with it. I don't want to drag this on any longer because we did run into a lot of virtual machine issues and it kind of put us behind. But I want you to do one more thing. I want you to go into your etc NixOS directory with all the configuration files you were just working on and go ahead and turn that into a Git repository and push it to your GitHub repo.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do? So the one that we had was what was it? That we just modified the conf.nix, right?
Yeah, I would say just turn this whole directory to a Git repo. So do Git init,
Okay, Git in it.
sudo Git.
Yeah, of course, sudo everything.
Sudo tech I overview.
Okay, 1 second. I don't know why I chose a good password for this virtual machine. Okay, so I would have to like figure out like I use password manager and stuff, so I can't like actually push this to my GitHub right now.
Well,
Push it to my GitHub.
for
Sure, do you want to come type your password into my virtual machine?
I wonder if there's like a passwordless version of Git. Oh, we could use Gitern, which is Koob's Git hosted thing that uses Bitcoin. Gitern.
Oh, okay.
Well, in any case, I recommend pushing this to your own repository and keeping track of it. Since you did put in some effort today, you don't want to lose that work.
Sure.
And then in the future, we can either go over it personally, we could do another live stream, or you're always welcome to ask me questions. And then before we finish off, I want to point you all to some resources.
Well, can we talk about this a little bit?
Absolutely.
Just so I understand it. So basically, what I would want to do, I mean, this is probably for anyone who knows Git. We can probably just talk through this one.
Sure.
So like the things that are important here that we did is we edited the configuration.nix, and under some circumstances we didn't get that to work, but in some circumstances you might also edit your flake.nix instead. So in this situation,
What's the difference between config.nix and flake.nix?
flake.nix is the new way, right?
Yeah, flake.nix is the new way. Flake.nix is going to hold one or more of your configurations. So let's say you have multiple machines, you would name them, laptop and desktop, and those would all be listed in your flake.nix. And then each of those is going to say import whatever file. And so it's in this case, it's importing configuration.nix.
Okay.
And you can have separate ones for different machines,
Okay.
or you can share them. So like on my setup, for example, I have most of my files, most of my configurations, I like to share across all my machines. So I have them importing that same shared config. And then a couple of things I want them to have their own specifics. So I have their own files for that.
So is your config pushed to your GitHub?
Yes,
Is it public?
it is.
So I could just clone it and then just
Yeah. If you clone
whatever
mine,
the next command is, and then start
Exactly.
it'll just install all the software that you have.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
And so it sounds like you're saying that within a single flake.nix file, you can define different machines,
different hosts.
and so different hosts for that you want to run this on. And so I guess the deal with that would be that like you want the same packages on all the machines, but one of them might be the ARM, and then the other one might be x86 64. And so within the same flake.nix, you could be like, okay, if it's this machine, if it's my Mac, then use this set of configuration. And if it is my PC, use this set of configuration.
Exactly. Let me share my screen and show my configurations because I have something exactly like that.
And before I switch the screen, just while I have it here, I just want, just for my understanding, like I would basically in this kind of workflow, I would clone the machine, the Git repo down onto my machine so that every time any of these files changed, I could pull down the changes on any machine I wanted to, right?
Yep.
And do you typically, just as like best practice, like do you have the Git repo like as its own repo in here, and then like as its own directory, and then you like manually copy, like if this is the Git repo here, you just manually copy the files out into this directory here?
Great question. I'll show you what I do.
Okay, let me hand it back over to you.
There is a git command that does not create a directory, but instead just opens up the directory and just like puts all the files in the same folder.
Yeah,
I forgot what the git command is.
I think it's a bear Git repo.
I can't remember. So it's git clone, and then you do something after that, so that it does not create a directory, but just like clones everything else.
Shallow.
Am I sharing right now?
But,
Yeah, just you have
Yes,
like you have like a mirror
yes.
thing going on. So maybe
There we go.
or well, wait. Yeah. No, I use it. Yeah, there you go. That's what you want to show.
Okay, so this is my configuration. And,
All right, now let's hear.
so I put my whole directory. This is a Git repo that I just have in my home.nix directory. So
Can you make that a little bigger?
yeah, let me cd home, and I'll show you. So my home directory, and then I have a directory called .nix. This can be called literally anything. I just called it .nix. And then cd into .nix. I'm going to list it out. You'll see it's a Git repo. I've got my flake.nix, and then I've got my README, and then I've got a directory for each of my machines, and then a shared directory. So this one that I'm on currently is called Tux. So if we open up the flake.nix, apparently it's already open somewhere. There it is. Okay, so this is my flake.nix. You'll see my inputs. I have several other inputs. I have my VS Code extensions, Darwin, which is all the macOS specific stuff, Home Manager. This is a graphic library thing for running on other Linux distros, Firefox add-ons, Android stuff, NeoVim, Python, and then down here is my outputs. Now, what you were asking about, Stephen, was the conditional logic where you're saying, if it's macOS, do this. If it's not, do that. And that's going to be in right here is a good example of that. So here I've defined my username and then my home directory. And I'm saying if it's Darwin, then make it /user/username. Otherwise /home/username. That's how Linux works.
Yep.
And then this is all stuff that's in the Home Manager documentation, which again, I'm going to link to. But if you want to install something, it's as simple as doing like programs. Like right here is the GitHub CLI. And I put programs here with little to no configuration. So the GitHub CLI, I don't really care to change anything from default. So it's as simple as gh.enable equals true. gpg.enable equals true for GPG. JQ as well. And then when I have something where I'm like, oh, PyEnv, got a few things here, but let's say it gets really involved, like my ZSH, I break it out into its own file. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I hope you can still read that. And here's where, so I have programs.zish, and then enable equals true. If I were to change this to false, and then rebuild, save and rebuild, it would just, ZSH would be off my system, and then I can change it back to true. I'm saying where my dot directory is. Instead of cluttering my home, I like to put it in config. I've got auto suggestions, and then any extra environment variables I want to set.
What's the key map?
Key map?
Bins, VINs.
Yeah. So when you're in here, like you're in Vim insert mode, so that's just the normal typing. But let's say I had this, and I wanted to like go back and edit it. I hit escape. Now I'm in Vim normal mode.
Yeah. Like I do that for Zish.
Yeah, this is all a Zish thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is all of these settings are Zish, but this is how you configure them.
Nice. Your Vim is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And the whole shell. What shell is that?
This is ZSH.
But it's like you have like some theme or something on it that's really nice. It does like the autocomplete and all this stuff.
Yep. Those are Vim. ZSH plugins.
Use OMyZSH.
I do not. I find OMyZSH to be bloated and slow, and I use ZSH autocomplete is a Git repository for ZSH, and then ZSH autocomplete. They have really similar names.
Use Starship.
I do use Starship.
Starship is the thing that makes it beautiful.
ZSH auto suggestions and ZSH autocomplete are two different things, but they do something similar.
Nice.
Starship is the prompt. So like right here where I have this prettiness, this is Starship.
Ooh, Starship.
Yeah. Starship is a fancy prompt. And then this stuff up here is Zellige. This is a like Tmux, but modern.
Huh.
And then all of the stuff you're seeing in here, this is just NeoVim.
So you can click on those little things up there, and they go to different like sessions, like kind of like Tmux.
Yeah.
Like Legacy and Alta are all like. Yeah, that's cool. Man, I need to step up my shell game.
Honestly, yeah, this is like the most gorgeous shell here. You should post this on Vimform.
Yeah.
All right.
The whole session on this eShell.
Yeah. Next workshop is going to be
Yes.
the terminal workshop.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really cool idea. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay.
Um,
Before we finish up, did I answer your question, Stephen?
Yeah, sort of. I got like some follow-up questions now.
Yeah.
That's okay. So like, okay, I think that, you basically have the directory called .nix. It's basically a Git repo. So it's like you would get cloned, but you would pass in a custom directory name or something like that, call it .nix instead. I guess my question though is like, what is the difference between etc/nixos and just doing the .nix in the home directory?
So what we were doing, but we had some problems that we ran into because of the architecture thing with the VM. So you'll notice that I'm not in /etc/nixos.
Yeah.
My configuration.nix is right there. Oh, wait. Right there. And I'm able to do it from anywhere using the following command. So I would do sudo nixos rebuild switch. And then let me tell you what's going on here. You're adding the tac flake.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm in the flake directory, I don't need anything else. So I'm going to do that first. Sudo nixos rebuild switch, and then tac flake. And then I give it the path to where the flake.nix is. So I don't have to be in the etc nixos. I can be in, for example, here.
So by default, -- flake is going to look in etc/os nixos.
Yeah, from what I read, because I actually don't ever do it like that, but I thought it would be easy to show it without the flake at first, without the tac flake, and then pointing to the path. So you're saying sudo nixos rebuild switch. Normally it's going to look in your /etc/nixos directory, but instead we're saying tac flake, and then we're passing it the argument of the path where our flake is located.
Got it. So you can't run -- flake without passing in a path to the flake.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And then I also noticed in there, it looks like you have a directory for different machines.
Mhm.
So, and then you have one flake.nix on the outside. So it's like within the flake.nix, does it reference sort of thing? Like it looks like you have like an environment variable there for host name. It's like, is in the flake.nix, is it like, if it's these conditions, then you go inside this directory and load the configuration file from that directory.
When you do sudo nixos rebuild switch, tac flake, and then pass it to where the flake is, what it does is it looks inside that flake, and by default, it selects the host name of the host that you're on. So right now, my host name is on Tux. The computer I'm on is called Tux.
That's an environment variable.
Yeah, so that's just like the host name. So
I see. Okay, like the Linux, like native
Yeah,
host name.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let me just show you in another terminal. Like if I do, okay, so I type in host name Tux.
Okay, that makes sense.
Forget all that other crap.
So then when it's going through the flake.nix file, there's some
Tux.
conditionals that are based on the host name. So Nix is able to get the,
Yes, but you don't even need to write conditionals. It's just by default, the Nix command is going to look through, it's going to parse through here under NixOS configurations or under home configurations if you're using Home Manager. And then it's going to look through and it's going to say, you didn't specify which host, so I'm going to use the one that you're on. So Tux.
and like in that file, do you have to specify like, this is the directory. So for home configurations, Tux equal, you have to say somewhere, hey, this is the directory where the Tux configuration files are located.
Yep. So that's this line right here, modules. And this is basically like imports.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so this is importing the file in my /tux directory and then
I see.
home.nix.
And so because we're in .nix, or it's going through the flake.nix file right now, and then it's dot, so it's like the current directory, the same directory that the flake.nix is in, /tux/home.nix.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'll put a link to my GitHub with all of this that you can
Yeah.
use it as an example. And then Alex, all of you might be interested in this because you all have Mac OS, but I ran Darwin as my work machine for several months until recently, and it has so much cool configuration with a package or a whole repo on GitHub called Nix Darwin. It's like a sister project of NixOS, and it allows you to modify things really granularly. Like you could change where your dock is and where your menu bars are in your systems. There's a whole bunch of Apple macOS APIs that are exposed to it, and so. In fact, you can, with Nix Darwin, you can modify macOS with Nix more than you can modify other Linux distributions that are not NixOS.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's so sick.
And then before we finish off today, I just wanted to make sure everybody has access to these resources. So I'm going to post them in the chat, and then I'll also put them in a more permanent place. I'll add them to like the YouTube comments for this video, for this recording, and I'll put them on my website too. And I'll try to make them as available as possible.
Sweet. This has been awesome. Any final questions before we wrap things up?
What's like the first time, or like, what's like the biggest benefit that you get immediately out of like doing work out of NixOS?
Just curious, no shaming here, but did you get a chance to see the workshop from last week?
Not yet. Sorry.
Okay. I highly recommend it because we went over a lot of the benefits of Nix,
Mhm.
and today we focused on the NixOS and personal configuration. But last time we covered how one of the major use cases is sharing dev environments. So I'm onboarding to a new project. Typically, let's say you're going to an open source project on GitHub.
Yeah.
You get clone, and then you're like, okay, now let me look at the README file. And there's like a laundry list of things like you got to install this, make sure your environment variables of this. You have Node.js 14.2.3, but not 14.2.4. With Nix, the package manager alone, it doesn't even have to be NixOS. You can you clone a repository that has a flake.nix in the root. You type in nix develop, and it'll load for a second as it installs all the stuff, and bam, you're in a shell that has everything set up, all the versions, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. The package manager makes a lot of sense. When does the operating system start like kicking in? You start getting like real dividends from that.
Well, if you use Linux as your daily driver, or even Mac OS if you're configuring it with Nix Darwin, and you have more than one machine, let's say, you have a new machine. Normally, how long does it take you? Let's say you got a new job and they give you a new work machine. How long does it take you, be honest, before everything is like perfectly set up, your shell, your everything is the way you want it?
I mean, I usually spend a full day, and then I'm pretty close. And then over the next like several weeks, I start doing stuff.
Okay, so like you're getting 90% of the way there over a day, and then the next few weeks you'll get to 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so with NixOS, you would do git clone, NixOS rebuild switch, however long it takes to download and install, boom, you have 100%.
Okay, I see the benefit.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It's magical. And then also when you have more than one machine and you're like, oh, I've been deving on my work machine a lot and I installed all these new things. My terminal is perfect. But I go home and like, what was that thing? I don't remember the configuration. It's slightly different. Nope, you just get fetch, get pull, rebuild, same.
That's cool. I mean, do you ever run into issues where like there's not a Nix version of something if you're on Nix OS?
Very rarely. Nix packages is the main Nix repo, which has over 80,000 packages in it. It's the largest by far, like it dwarfs any other distribution. And for things that are not in it, you might come across something where you say, I want this obscure program and it's not packaged for Nix OS yet, or for Nix packages yet. You can follow the documentation because we haven't gone over it in the workshop. But once you get familiar with the syntax and how Nix OS works, anybody can package anything for Nix packages. And it's, the beauty of open source. You could even submit it to Nix packages if you want, and they'll submit a pull request and they say, this is perfect. It runs, it builds. I'm going to add it. Now everybody out there can enjoy it as well.
Sick. That's really cool. Like development SDKs, can you run like a iPhone simulator? Like can you run Android Studio?
You can run Android Studio. I've done it.
Yeah.
I have not done iPhone. I suspect there might be a thing where you have to be on a Mac machine to do that because of Apple.
I was gonna ask about Xcode, but I felt like it's probably not possible.
Probably not.
There's something.
Darwin Xcode install.
Codes.
But no, install and update your Xcode. I think this is a command line tool to install and switch between multiple versions of Xcode. It looks almost like NVM, but for Xcode. So that seems like that might do it right there, because if this command line tool has the ability to install and switch multiple versions of Xcode.
But perhaps it's with the package manager, not with the OS. You could have the Nix package manager on a Mac.
Sure.
You can switch between using the software.
Yeah, so it's not going to put it on it is cool. So it is on x86 Darwin and Arch64 Darwin.
Yeah. So this is going to be on Darwin only.
And I bet and it automatically, Nix OS would automatically install this Xcode installer package. But presumably you could automate, maybe in your repo, you could automate the installation, like have some shell commands that execute that would run Xcodes to install a particular version. I don't know if it's exactly like as smooth as just raw nixing it, but it seems like it could be automated to some degree, perhaps.
My guess, Alex, is that this is like outside of Nix OS or Nix at all. This is just Apple not allowing Xcode to run or making it very difficult for you to develop on iOS outside of the Mac platform.
I mean, these all say Apple's Xcode SDK.
But click on them.
Yeah. Xcode. So there's like Xcode development tools, but then there's like the Xcode IDE, which you need for mobile.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You never know. There might be some badass hackers out there that
can
manage to pull it off.
You can install Xcode IDE with command line.
Really?
Yes.
On Linux?
On Linux, that I don't know.
No, but on Mac there is a way to do it.
On Mac there is a way.
I've done it before. It effectively does the same thing. I think it's going to the App Store, but there's
you can pick a specific version. In the App Store you cannot.
Could you guys check to see if my message came through?
You put it in the private chat. I put it in the public chat for you.
Thank you. Did you also put my Nix configs?
Let me double check.
I can do that. Oh, whoops. Maybe you should do it.
Yeah, I think it wants you to. I think it wants you to log in or something.
Jordan, another question real quick is, in your experience, do you ever have issues from the upstream repos? And what does that look like if you hit an error
No, you don't.
when you're trying to upgrade or install something?
Yeah, you put it in the.
So you're asking me if I have any errors with the upstream packages, and by upstream you mean stuff that's in Nix packages, or upstream of that like something that's outside of Nix packages that somebody has packaged for Nix?
I guess either or. It's kind of like, what does it look like when something goes wrong?
Well,
That wasn't like something I did, but if it's something like, hey, I'm just going to update my system to get the latest versions, and if something barfs, kind of what does that look like?
Okay. I see what you're saying. So let's say you update to the latest package of something and it's no longer working. You might want to say, I want to roll back or go to the previous working version of that package. Here's where having your Nix configs in the Git repository is really helpful, because you can just revert to the previous commit. But what you can do is you can pin your packages to any version. So like, let's say I really like the version of Firefox 102 because that was before they added some stupid UI thing or before it broke on my system. You just go into Nix packages and you look at the commit hash for 102 and you would paste it into your flake.nix where you're listing out Firefox, and from then on it'll look at that specific commit and it will not update or go forward. So it'll be locked to that version, and you can do that with any package.
Have you hit that very often? Because I mean, I would expect things to just work, and I'm just wondering how likely is it that something will break and I'll need to do that versus, if there's a new Wayland version and Firefox and like things go haywire. Is it pretty solid?
It's pretty solid. I run on unstable, and I've only had to run into that issue once. I was on, I think it was Chromium or Firefox, and there was like a new graphics driver issue, and then I just pinned it at the previous version and it was fine. And then there was a fix for it in the main version within like a week. But if you really just say, you know what, I don't have time for this crap, I need to always run 100% of the time, stick with the most recent stable, which is like April and November. So like in the most recent one is 23.11, which is November.
Okay.
We got a question from the chat. Can it use libc5 versus libc6, or is that libc6, or is that too important of a library?
I don't know at all what those libraries are used for. I've never interacted with them, but my guess would be that it is available. If it's doable in Linux, it's doable on NixOS typically. And libc, yeah, I would say go to search.nixos.org and type in libc and see if you find the version that you're looking for.
Yeah, we're on there right now, and we can see libck, libcxx, libctl. I'm not sure if any of these might be the ones that you're looking for. But I'll paste. Well, here I'll actually just paste my search link into the chat here, and you can take a look for yourself and see if it's what you're looking for.
Any other questions?
When you do a system upgrade, is it just NixOS rebuild, switch, tech, upgrade all?
So the way you update is you can automate this. You can go into settings and set auto update. But what I do is I like to update manually because I don't want things to break out from under me. And so you would do, it's a separate command. It's nix flake update. And what that'll do is it'll actually update the flake.lock file. And if you open up, let's take a look at the flake.lock file.
And so this would be like kind of the new way to upgrade the correct way.
Yeah, the better way, I would argue. So we're looking at flake.lock. This is basically like the package lock.json, if you're familiar. And it's going to show our different inputs, and then it's got the hash for them. So like, let's scroll down and say this Firefox add-ons, for example, and it's got the hash of it, and then it's got the commit. So this is actually, if I go onto GitHub and I go to like the specific commits, I could see one with this hash. And then, so that's what I can pin it to. And so unless I have auto update on, it's not going to update unless I specifically tell it. And I'm going to say nix flake update. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want it to download and everything, but that would update all of them. And then if I want to update individual inputs, I would say nix flake lock update input, and then I give it the one that I want.
And if you start it and it doesn't finish, can you control C it and everything's fine?
Yes, these are atomic operations. So if it fails to build, it doesn't mess up. It just stays on the previous one. All right.
All right. Hey, thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, just a sec. All right. Thanks for tuning in online, everybody. We're going to kill the stream now. Catch you later.
use Windows.